A lighthearted fundraiser was recently hosted to help raise money for a serious topic: women's health care. The first ever bra art fundraiser was held at the end of March in Bryan. 70 brightly adorned bras were auctioned off as part of the Health for All event. Now, in all, they were able to raise more than $10,000, and all of that money will be used to help local women without insurance afford to go to the doctor. Now, according to a report by the Texas Policy Evaluation Project, affordability is just one barrier Texas women face when it comes to accessing reproductive health care. Joining us now is Liz Dickey. She's the Executive Director of Health for All. And Liz, thank you for joining us this afternoon, because I will be completely honest, I think until we saw that event and realized that there is a need to help women in our community who can't go to the doctor as often as maybe we can.
It's something that we frequently take for granted, that when you get sick, you go to your doctor and you get medicine and you get better. We have a lot of people right here in our backyard that just don't have the same options. They don't have the same access to health care. And some of the barriers that they face are all too familiar to a lot of our residents. They have language barriers, they have transportation barriers. Sometimes it's a matter of availability. They can't find a clinic or a doctor that is a good fit for them. Maybe they've found one, but there are no appointments available. Unfortunately, right now, the folks providing the resources that are needed, the demand outweighs what's available. So we've seen a lot of women struggling to find the needed primary and preventative health care services that they desperately need to stay healthy.
And of course, when we think of reproductive health, we think, of course, you know, a lot of women want to start having their families, but there's also the issue of maybe the contraception, and they're not at a point where their family wants to expand or grow. But also cervical cancer was one that I thought was very important. And obviously, if aren't able to tell them that they need to treat that, then that's a big issue that can really ultimately affect them negatively.
You're absolutely right. And beyond that, for folks thinking, how does this impact me? It eventually is passed on to all of us, anyone with or without insurance. The health of our community is dependent on all of us getting these basic preventative services. There's a lot of health screenings, there's a lot of planning and discussion and education that goes on in the front end, that if we deny these women that basic access, we're going to pay for it down the road one way or another, and we really have to work on making sure that's not the way we handle it.
And that's a really good way to drive it home, because it's not just only affecting certain families. And I want to touch on really quickly, you mentioned some of those barriers, and I imagine you're not surprised. Some of the top barriers were that they can't pay, that there is discomfort with their provider. Of course, you always want to feel secure that your healthcare provider is taking care of you. One of them too, no child care. I know sometimes people can't even go to work because there's no child care, let alone going to those all-important doctor's appointments. How can we address that, and how can we as a society help? Because Health for All is just one great organization in town that helps, but how do we make it a community effort as opposed to you individually take care of it?
Well, the first thing is awareness and making sure that we are advocating for the resources that are available, places like Health for All and some of our partners in the community that provide things like either discounted or free child care for folks to be able to go to work or go to their doctor's appointments. There's a lot of people who feel like they can't take off work or can't miss school, or they'll be penalized for it, and so they're just not going to get health care or to get services that they desperately need, and we have resources here. So the first step is, one, to just know the resources we have, and you can do that by reaching out to organizations like Health for All. 211 and the United Way is a great resource to kind of point you in the right direction, but together I think we've started having some of the foundation that we need. We just have to make sure we utilize it appropriately.
And I know sometimes that women, it's easier to put off our health as long as our family's taken care of. Let's not do that though, right?
You're absolutely right. We tend to be a caregiver first, and we will sacrifice our own health, and we're not going to be able to take care of anyone if we don't take care of ourselves.
That's a great point. Liz, thanks so much for joining us this afternoon, and of course for everything you do in our community.
Well, thank you.